Hello and welcome to Garbage Fire. This is the new I series I'm going to be doing where I take an existing deck list or I take one of my own ideas, build a deck out of it, and then get my teeth kicked in by two Tarmogoyfs in Modern or in Standard or whatever. But this week we're doing Modern. So it'll be two Tarmogoyfs this week. Next week it'll be two Skyship Sovereigns. And I know it's legendary, but it's two. It has to be. Anyway, so this is Giftless Brains. Notice the subtext. So there have been deck lists that have been floating around with Brain in a Jar and Gifts Ungiven. And for those of you who don't know, this is Gifts Ungiven. It's basically a tutor. Really fancy tutor. We're not having any of that. This is essentially a gifts deck, but I took out gifts, took out pretty much all the green except for one Noxious Revival, which is essentially Abrupt Decay. And our main win conditions now, instead of Unburial Rites and some other big card, are 2 Boom Bust, 4 Goblin Dark-Dwellers, and 1 Tasigur. That's what we got. So the deck is 4 colors. Obviously, the mana base is a little bit complicated. Just really quickly, I have 2 Arid Mesas, a Bloodstained Mire, 4 Flooded Strand, and Polluted Delta, and then various shocks in all of those colors, and then 2 Celestial Colonnades and 1 Desolate Lighthouse. The deck list will be in the description if you're curious to know what the exact land base is. But moving on, we got 3 paths, 4 probes, just for some... And the probes are in there just for card advantage, just so I can dig. 1 Noxious Revival, 4 Wall of Omens, just to help slow the opponent down and to draw a card. 1 Trickbind, which is basically just for Planeswalker decks, any cards that run activated abilities, like play it against Aether Vial or anything. It's just a good card. I'm actually surprised it doesn't see more play in Modern, because we don't have Stifle. 1 Peer Through Depths, just to dig for spells. 3 Cathartic Reunion, which is the Tormenting Voice on steroids. 1 Agony Warp, just some cheap removal. 3 Lightning Helix. I'm actually tempted to change the Agony Warp out for another Lightning Helix. 4 Brain in a Jar. 1 Anguished Unmaking. Esper Charms. Board Wipe. Flip cards to abuse. We have Far and Away. Return target creature to its owner's hand. Target player sacks a creature. And of course the Tasigur and Boom Bust. Moving on to the sideboard, we have path number 4, 1 Invasive Surgery for any shenanigans with Splendid Reclamation, Scape Shift, etc. 1 Languish, because I can't afford Damnation. 2 Flaying Tendrils, 1 Illness and Ranks, because giving creatures -1/-1 is just my favorite thing in this slot of the sideboard, apparently. 1 an additional Agony Warp, 1 Nahiri, 2 more Boom Bust, 2 Wear Tear, a Nihil Spellbomb, and a Relic of Progenitus, followed up by 1 Emrakul. So, real quick, so I just got rid of Nahiri. Anyway, the Nahiri and the Emrakul are basically in there for win condition change outs. I like decks where I can swap the win condition and then totally blindside my opponent. And I've been playing another version of this deck where I ran 4 Nahiri in the main board. And a lot of times I would Boom Bust, destroy all lands, and then ult Nahiri and have my opponent be able to do nothing. But I decided that I didn't want to play another Nahiri deck so quickly, so I'm only putting it in the sideboard. A lot of times I'll probably just be bringing her in for value. It depends on the matchup. But that is Giftless Brains in Modern. Please join me for game 1, and have a good night.